I will ask the Minister for Tourism to lead us in prayer.
We commit to you our leaders who are present here this morning. May you bless our Prime Minister, the opposition leader, and also the Speaker of this House. And mighty God bless each and every one of us. Take charge of this occasion and lead us with your Spirit. And mighty God, may we sincerely discuss and may we bring forth into this House the most important issues that affect us all, and especially the country of Papua New Guinea. So mighty God bless us this morning. And as we all now say the Lord's Prayer with your blessings. Our Father, which art in heaven,
Hallowed be thy name, thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive them that trespass against us.
Lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil.
For thine is the kingdom,
the power
and glory, forever and ever. Amen. Honorable members, I wish to acknowledge the presence of grade 8 students and teachers from Goldie River Primary School who are in the public gallery. On behalf of the National Parliament, I extend a very warm welcome. Petitions, notices. Honourable members, question without notice. The Honourable Governor of Morobe.
Thank you, Mr. Deputy Speaker. I rise at this point in time to deliver my question to the Prime Minister of this country, the Honourable James Marape. Mr. Deputy Speaker, we on the 16th of September 1975 declared this country to become the independent nation among other nations of the world. We declared unreservedly that we did so in that declaration in the guiding hands of God. And Mr. Speaker, Deputy Speaker, that God is the God of Israel, God of Hebrew, and God of Judah. Mr. Prime Minister, I want to commend you without reservation. You have taught the nation and delivered to the nation in unambiguous terms that you want to declare to the rest of the world that this country is a Christian country. and you declare, you have said quite clearly that you want to amend the Constitution to accommodate that assertion. Mr. Prime Minister, by virtue of us accepting God of Israel and God of Hebrew as our God, we are saying that Israel as a nation is our brother and our brothers and sisters, that country of Israel. And Mr. Speaker, I want to direct my question to the Prime Minister. Could you negotiate with the Prime Minister of Israel to establish Papua New Guinea Embassy in Jerusalem? Establish it. I want to make it clear also that our nation has almost 100% population Christian compared to all the nations in the Pacific. Even Australia has a less number of Christians. We have the highest. And so what? We should declare it as a Christian nation. So could you liaise with the Prime Minister of Israel to give you permission or give us the permission to establish Papua New Guinea Embassy in Jerusalem? Number 2 question. Mr. Prime Minister, Mr. Deputy Speaker, could the Prime Minister also invite the Prime Minister of Israel, nation of Israel, and the government of Israel to establish their embassy in Papua New Guinea? At the present time, they have an embassy in Australia, but Australia has a lesser number of Christians than we have. And it is right and fitting for the Israeli government to establish its embassy in Papua New Guinea. Thank you, Mr. Deputy Speaker.
The Honourable Prime Minister.
Thank you, Mr. Deputy Speaker. Me amamas long question long Governor long Morobe. Me ask him long relationship with me want him the nation of Israel. But before me back him, tupla question again. Talk up long Papua New Guinea as a Christian country. Our fathers of our and mothers of our country at 1975, when the Constituent Assembly was adopted on the 15th of August 1975, they did acknowledge that we are a Christian nation. For us, in the amendments that we are working on, we just want to entrench that without compromising or without stopping other religions from also practicing their beliefs in our country. So may clear in this plan. Question long embassy long Jerusalem, I think in 2013, if I'm not wrong. Then Prime Minister, the Honorable Peter O'Neill, led a delegation to Israel. There was a conversation around that, and the Israeli government, from what we were briefed, gave indication of the land in Jerusalem to be used for our embassy. In my recent United Nations engagement, I met His Excellency Yair Lapid, the present Prime Minister of Israel. He was pleasant. He did acknowledge Papua New Guinea's support to Israel on many, many occasions. And conversation on me visiting Israel and him visiting Papua New Guinea was made. That obviously will flow into those bilateral arrangements. Mind you, it is not just our religious affinity that we should relate to Israel with. Israel is a knowledge-based economy. Israel is an economy that exports agriculture that is grown through hydroponics technology. Israel today, there's up to 8 flights a week dedicated to the export of raw vegetables and fruits produced from Israel. And Israel is really half the size of Angoram district. But on rock, they're producing agriculture to export to Europe through the use of hydroponic and technology, and we can learn much from them. Having a bilateral relationship with them is not just for our religious affinity and our worldview in terms of religion, but more importantly in the area of technology, knowledge, and learning from them. And so that conversation is timely. I thank the governor for asking an important question. He possibly did not know, but Governor, you might be pleasantly happy that I met the present Prime Minister in New York. We had those engagements, and I look forward to our officials progressing what political leaders did so that we don't leave it to waste in the opportunities that is available in entrenching a bilateral relationship with the nation of Israel. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The Honourable Member for Bulolo. Honourable Governor, what's your point of order?
I have, sorry, with due respect to the Prime Minister.
Honourable Member for Bulolo, you resume your seat while I'll ask the Governor.
With due respect to the Prime Minister, I have specifically asked you whether you could ask the Prime Minister of Israel and his government team to establish our embassy in Jerusalem. That's one. And second, I specifically ask you whether you could ask the Prime Minister of Israel to establish Israeli embassy in Papua New Guinea. You haven't answered those questions yet.
Honourable Prime Minister, I think I heard you answering a question in a diplomatic way, but I think the Governor wants you to specify on the question he asked, so maybe I'll ask you to reply to him.
All right, thank you, Deputy Speaker. And let me thank him, Governor. Ask him, put in point of order, making me come up clear. Establish a meeting one time leader to leader penis. This is issue long embassy long Jerusalem or Israel, na embassy long Papua New Guinea, including this bilateral exchange, Mr. Deputy Speaker, by me na Prime Minister, na government blaming, na government problem making. Hopefully, sometimes next year, if time is in order, me visit him all past time. Na about visiting me plan, na lo this like embassy lo Jerusalem. Embassy long Port Moresby be part of this bilateral discussion. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Member of Bulolo.
Thank you, Mr. Deputy Speaker. Luke Sabelo, people of Bulolo. Question to me without notice. It's directed to the Health Minister, Dr. Tom Lino. If I'm not stopped, me direct him to Prime Minister. Thank you.
Honourable Member, the Minister is not here, so okay, you can ask the Prime Minister to answer.
Thank you. Yung plan ni Tok one pla main problem lo mipla lo Bulolo ausik taso. I had a chat with the good minister already. I'm ready to give one good answer today. The hospital itself, it's very attractive. Pull up lokankan machine all equipments. The problem we have is doctors. We don't have manpower there. So me like just ask him to figure out some way or pathway where maybe I can bring him doctors. He come. I think houses are already provided, and I have to thank the company, PNG Forest Products, for helping out with the houses and the hospital. The hospital is situated in the premises of the company. Now the problem is we don't have doctors. So this lausik inoblo Bulolo taso. Saving miniamatu, one time warrior. So we want the way where we can bring in doctors, lo help him Bulolo people na warrior one time miniama. And tupla bigla main bakamap. Miplales logo taman gololei, risking life loron lorot gololei. We want people to enjoy the benefits of the hospital there. One of the reasons why me bring in this Tok, it's because some of the people there, they don't have proper housing. Example, all Bulolo CPICs, all staff of care center. Nasabas this is outbreak come up lap, emba mipla painimat. So, ask him Domitaso. Thank you.
The Honorable Prime Minister.
Thank you, Mr. Deputy Speaker. Me like talk. Thank you, Law. Member Blong Bulolo, Law, ask him this question. And also committee mem, congratulate him, Law, win him seat. Now, send up at Law Floor, I think him first or second, third time, Law gonna send up and plus send up, talk, ask him question, Blong, people blow you. And if government me play no answer good or me play no respond, ask him again number 2 time, number 3 time. Just because he missed up government in a minimum, you block government, lo backside, pass him mouse, me amas, you ask him this question, member Blong Bulolo. Me take him note long, talk to play long, our doctors, the health minister in a staff, and by the way, me pass him apology blog and me attend long, dive long, enga administrator. So I'm in a stop today, but I'll ensure that he gets to attend to this one, and the hospital in Bulolo is served with a doctor. Thank you, Mr. Deputy Speaker.
The Honorable Member for Daulo.
Thank you, Deputy Speaker. Thank you, Login Floor, me, to on behalf of people of Daulo. First time, Lomi San up, this Honorable House. Let me congratulate you, the appointment of you, Sia or St. Deputies, Speaker of this Honorable House. Secondly, we talk congratulating Prime Minister Blomipla, long re-elected long Herapori district, the come up for some Prime Minister Blomipla here, elected and opposed, congratulating you on behalf of people of Daulo, want to Mr. Highlands as a whole. Secondly, we congratulate him, opposition leader Blomipla, the deputy opposition leader on side. Thank you, Lord. Strong Sanap Blomipla on the side, Blomipla, this honorable house. Thank you. Congratulations, Sigurd Ministers Blomipla, State Ministers Blomipla, to appointment Blomipla. Postes Blomipla, Baigolo, Minister Blom, Defense, the disaster. This question, Mr. Deputy Speaker, I'm long prolonged drought. The Highlands region, where sunny come up close to sunny stuff, light storm close to 3 to 4 months. Now, Kosim, all.
Honorable Member, we have a point of order.
Yes.
Good member law directing questions to the Prime Minister because Defense Minister in no staff. Thank you.
Your point of order, sir. Honorable Member, Defense Minister in no staff. Me can harem ask him blow you suit law disaster.
Yes.
Plan the we come up, so I think good plan. By me asking you to direct him question blow you go Prime Minister.
Thank you, Deputy Speaker. Yes, questions redirecting go again, Honorable Prime Minister. Long Highlands, Eastern Highlands especially, the district Blomi facing big drought. Lo sunny come up close to 4 moon now. Now planting lo garden dry. Now Manmeri ask him questions where Gaman ikan come said how Gaman by come said na system models in situation. So me asking whether Prime Minister na Gaman tem got some plan lo assisting more people no mi lo this in situation time and drought come up. Thank you, Deputy Speaker.
The Honorable Prime Minister.
Thank you, Deputy Speaker. Me like talk thank you long. Member Long Daulo ask him a question. And also congratulate him long Senap na make him talk the floor of Parliament. We also apologize, Minister Blow Defense. Look, money Minister look at him disaster in our stop. Plenty of leaders will attend to court cases you may got today, and some of the leaders placed in Highlands as a funeral service at the moment. Also belong late MD belong ports happening at the moment, so they had to excuse lo me plan or go attend lo display. But come back lo point lo you. I was also informed by our leaders along East New Britain, led by the Governor Honorable Michael Marum, of extended drought that is happening in East New Britain, possibly in and from weather services they're telling us in New Ireland Province, Manus, and Morobe. We looking into how best we could have relief support, but in the first instance, you all district staff close to. If there's some little resource in the district, you're looking where you could support. but national government will have a whole holistic approach to this issue. Prolonged drought is start long take place in the northern part of our country, including our New Guinea Islands. So, Megan Belly Silo you or Zimbabwe Lukulungan, and we'll have a program to assist our people in the drought-affected areas.
The honorable member for Nipa Kutubu.
Thank you, Deputy Speaker. Loksawe. Question lo me without notice go Prime Minister. Me Loksawe lo 2 days or so ago you me talk lo. You mean I can put him the question go Prime Minister, but question lo me deal one them all some issues relates to national planning. So as a national planning minister, me also give question along and Kutubu project law elected law me start law 1992 coming up now 30 years go finish now elected law me got planned your needs where me look him planned your governments past government na present government only no look sawe this la road start law poroma nangolo Kutubu since 1992 Chevron all sets Santos Ogar sa time also talk small by Selim na. Even to this day, Molino Selim. As time me look him, Minister of Works and Highway me put him this la. Talk blongen lo how by connect PNG by go. This la road meeting and by stop but them no stop. This la road Santos work lo use him stop. Na time Penyang LNJ me come up and by oil by come back and lo Kutubu. Na miluke mo se man basawe man bla LLG stabla nira Kutubu na lafser la hela side oligat man sisa stab this la tubla LLG even to this day road them no connect him this la no fair you me talk lo connect him PNG na aste miluke mo sem this la no stop so me just like asking Prime Minister if can talk saval all people you me la nipa Kutubu especially Kutubu na man basawe we all this la all important projects for country, making money for country, but people is stable to the gate. You make got some plan to connect him. This la hap lo mando savi man sisana Silim road lo poromana Kutubu nogat. Number 2 question me also talk thank you lo government. Increasing tax credit scheme from 0.75% to 2%. Me to talk sidan one them Santos section or some development partners lo you me only look savel this la increase. So if Prime Minister can talk him National Planning Secretary or right go along all this la development partners so to advise that the tax credit scheme will only increase him from 0.75% to 2%. Number 3 question blow me Kutubu agreement 30 years go finish. He got some la ting long you may can review this la agreement or no got because this like 30 years. Let me give how much money tax for the country and but look, guess 2014 coming up now, almost 8 years now. Me play Sawa was PNG LNG project, they may give him this la country 14 billion kina. And this year alone, PNG LNG project by giving 5 billion kina lo tax lo this la country. Now, Milag also ask him how much out of that 5 billion and 14 billion only spend him inside long all project footprint electorates in the provinces. Because lo electorate lo me no logo man something and stop. Now lo pinisim aste you me total long this la UBS inquiry. Now me as a member of the Neighbor Kutubu where projects and stop inside. Milag also ask him Prime Minister UBS inquiry, you blood table in finish now one time by government by taking some action. Lord this law recommendation where UBS inquiry may find him out. Thank you, Mr. Deputy Speaker.
The Honourable Prime Minister.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Deputy Speaker. Give me time to respond long question long member long Nipa Kutubu. Let me ask him 1 or 2, 3, 4 questions. to the people of Bosavi, to the people of Line Slip, Mount Bosavi, Mount Sisa, Line Backside, bordering Hela, Gulf, Southern Highlands, Western Province. You know, Misal is like Connect PNG blueprint. One kind of all people of Karamwi, now all get all last corner along Papua New Guinea. Gambok, Bundi, Antap long Bayag, along Ramu go out. Sambla mentioned him, Sambla he lumped together in the next trends where we like put him also missing link roads. And Bosavi area a feature of display. But me asking works department long make sure that they may come out place clear. You may extract him Isla Road from Connect PNG program. Utilize him possibly tax credit money. Bring in Isla Road he come out. Mr. Deputy Speaker, just long informing Parliament. This is an important strategic area in terms of integrated Papua New Guinea LNG project is concerned. And we link him Juha, link him Muruk Fields, link him Juha Fields, link him go on top further northwest, he go ahead along Penyang. So in that southern Papuan fault belt area, plenty gas resource limit slip. These areas will be where the pipeline from additional fields will be linked back into the condensate or the central processing facility, the Stablo Kurubu. So area below Yumi along Southern Islands, Hela, Gulf, and Western backside. And we also important is stop inside of this block Connect PNG, Sabosino come up place clear. We give him barely see long member along Nipa Kurubu. But we make sure this road come up place clear. And talk long tax credit project. I want to inform the Parliament. Yes, we've approved 2% for tax credit sort of interventions. 1% is for project areas in where the projects are. And another 1% you may open them up the rest of our country. And so all kind of project area, also Kudubu, Heights, Pogra, Oktedi, Lihir, Antap long Harmony, Sinan Longan. Now plenty area blimi all could get direct benefit long tax credit project and some key enabling projects blimi long holding this areas country blimi he attend to. Mr. Deputy Speaker, time member he make a mention like Kudubu along road, he go Kudubu come out long Highlands Highway. It's just embarrassing 30 years on after first oil, now behind gas he go. No, it's the road, maybe not Silim, may give him barely see, good people along PDL 1, PDL 2 area along Kudubu, PDL 5 and PDL 6. That may play talk to one them Santos now. Long hopefully Santos can utilize him tax credit facility, and Exxon too can utilize him tax credit facility. That 1% long time will start him some work for the next few years going forward. One can say you meet talk one time Oktedi. Now Oktedi tax credit facility now Silim Road from Kinga. Now we'll go along Tabubil as we speak. You've been harvesting the resource for the last 30 years or 40 years, and we have not really plowed back into permanent infrastructures in those areas. Hopefully the combination of utilizing tax credit can assist long retiring Sambla Connect PNG program or this plan. On the Kudubu agreement review, the Petroleum Minister is here. If the provision allows for the review agreement to be reviewed, we will certainly look into this space. How much has been given to the project area? Deputy Speaker, let me ask him, or Team Blumblad, or check him record, and in another time I can write to the member, and if he requires me to speak and inform the Parliament, I could inform the Parliament that since Project Iran, law 1990, how much he may been giving go back to project area in terms of work on multiple project areas. Mr. Deputy Speaker, last plan long UBS inquiry, it will not collect dust. We are now assembling teams, one blood team long making all criminal prosecution domestically, long OSAD line, maybe field report and we recommend or some only Brooklyn law block country, but not blood people work. None of happened just here. People work long ask him beneficiaries for transaction, also UBS Bank. This like inquiry I may find him, or some UBS bank, I may knowingly, I may sawe, or some low country, clear him, this transaction, like come up, only facilitate him, this transaction. So, maybe now work with them international lawyers, and we're putting together a credible team to ensure you may go along, try best, long kiss him some money back, long big money, you may lose him, and we will, of course, make a presentation, legal lawsuit against UBS and others involved in that transaction that saw Papua New Guinea losing money from this failed transaction. So thank you, Mr. Speaker. I may some question I'm asking me, hope me answer him to the best of my ability.
The Honourable Member for Ijibitari.
Thank you, Mr. Deputy Speaker. Let me just correct the seat that it's not Ijibitari, it's Popondetta Open. So.
Honourable Member, let me retract from my correction and address you, Honourable Member for Popondetta.
Thank you, Mr. Deputy Speaker. Firstly, while I've got the floor, let me take this opportunity to thank my people in Popondetta Open for giving me the opportunity to represent them again in this House as a second-term MP. So I like to thank you all. And I like also to thank you all people of Ijibitari for the opportunity they gave me in the last term of Parliament to serve them on this floor. So I like to thank you, this Latupla district. I like also taking this opportunity to congratulate you, appointment you, sit you as a Deputy Speaker. One time this law, I like direct him question me, question without notice, go Minister for Higher Education, Research, Science, and Technology, plus Sports. I like also to congratulate him, Minister for Higher Education, on your re-election as the member for Kandep. Congratulations, you win him sit blue again, representing people blue here. Let me also congratulate you on your appointment as the minister. And I know you're a capable leader, and I look forward to working with you to address some of the issues, particularly concerning higher education in my province. As they you work in statement blue you na me. How much law? Good plus statement you work in me been got some points to raise him during this debate, but time is short, so I might leave that for another day. But me like to thank you on your approach, particularly time you put him 60-day plan blow you go out. And I can see that this last statement blow you, and me karam up him. This last 60-day plan that you put out. Now me like congratulating you on targeting certain areas, which are key areas to address labor force in this country. Right now, a lot of our institutions in this country are spitting out young people into the society. And a lot of these young people that have been spit out of the education system into the society cannot find a decent job. And if there are jobs available, if we graduate about 15,000 young people out of tertiary institutions, out of that there's about only 1,000 jobs available for these 15,000 people that come out. So we have to target certain areas, particularly where we can be able to harness and put young people into those areas. And I believe agriculture is one of those important areas that we need to target as a government. Now, in the past, we produced a lot of intellectual people within the space of agriculture when we used to operate the Petty College back in the 70s, 80s, and 90s.
Honourable Member, sorry to interrupt you.
Thank you.
We
Mr.
have a
Deputy
limited
Speaker.
time for question time, so...
Thank you, Mr. Deputy Speaker, but it is important
question.
that I flag these important issues while I've got this opportunity. So, question for me, Mr. Minister Mosem. UNRE Popondetta campus is a secondary to Woodall campus. Now, Woodall is the primary university, and Popondetta is the Popondetta campus as the secondary university attached to Woodall. Most of the funding that is sent from the Department of Higher Education goes directly to the Woodall campus. And then it is from there that they then dilute those funds and then send funds to the university in Popondetta. So quite a lot of issues that the university faces are unable to address them because of funding constraints that have been restricted by the Woodall campus. My question is, Minister, can you look at giving opportunity to this university to run as an independent, though it is aligned with the Woodall campus, can it be given independency to operate and function as an independent university so that funds are directly sent to that university? Can that university, once it's given that opportunity as function on its own, can it be given the powers to recruit academics to go in there and teach our young people in the space of agriculture? And number 3 is that can the university, right now they're only running diploma and certificate courses. Can the higher education consider allowing this university to also look into the space of producing students with degrees so that we can start contributing to the society in the space of agriculture? Thank you, Mr. Deputy Speaker.
The Honourable Minister for Higher Education.
Thank you, Deputy Speaker. I'm a maslo question below member below Popondeta. Very important question. Ina me play running degree course along Popondeta camp, along UNRI. The answer yes. But me play making more same. Second question, me ask him, ina me run also independent. But make him run also independent institution. Me play must stand come up university. The question now all the university where me got finished along I need long department and ministry below me. All established situation me must improve more first, and then by me go looking all new university me come up him. So me no not talk also by me making him come up university yet, but by me looking long how me plug and finance him, long making me come up all right, long I'm gonna exist good. So by me giving me dependency, autonomy. But by me,
Honourable Minister, we have a point of order from member Popondeta. What's your point of order?
Thank you, Mr. Deputy Speaker. Just a clarification. I understand it has a university status. It is University of Natural Resource. So therefore, it is already a university status. So me not think need law, look law, outside law, kiss him university status. It's just operating as a Popondeta campus to the university. Thank you.
Honourable Minister.
Yes, Mr. Deputy Speaker, I understand the question, but I'm saying it because there is a talk coming out of the university itself and others if we can make it a university on its own. And then I have said no to that, that we can give the autonomy to exist as a subsidiary university to UNRE, but we'll give them the resources that are required to exist and finance themselves, manage properly. So that we can do that. So that's his other question. We're addressing that. And he also mentioned about the staffing and the all management system. I think 3 questions. I think I've answered the first 2. The third one, or the first one, which was about the students there, the course we're teaching in agriculture, and we need to create jobs that the students must have the skills to perform. That is part of the Marape Rosso government's main focus in making sure that the graduates or the students who come out of those universities and the colleges, they do get into a job that is in the industry. So that is the part of the curriculum development I was addressing yesterday. So I think these questions are very good questions, they're intelligent questions, and we will deal with them. Thank you, Mr. Deputy Speaker.
We have a supplementary member for North Fly.
Thank you, Deputy Speaker. When I say supplementary, I'm trying to join to his statement yesterday, but in particularly with the STEM education point that he mentioned yesterday. And so the question would be in this manner: science, technology, engineering, and mathematics was the subject or one of the points that he mentioned in his statement yesterday as a minister. So the question would be...
Honourable Member, that supplementary is like you asking a new question.
No, Deputy Speaker...
The question we have is the question in related to Popondeta campus.
I understand, but the initial member asked in relation to his statement yesterday.
Honourable Member, since you have the floor, I'll ask you to make that as a new question to the minister.
Thank you for allowing me to ask a new question. Anyway,
Honorable Member, I'll ask all the honorable members to take note of that. That don't use a supplementary to put up a new question. Next time I'm gonna rule any supplementary question that is to be new. Otherwise, I continue ask your question to the minister.
Thank you. Through you, Deputy Speaker, the minister made a statement regarding STEM education, science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, which is encompassing the future of Papua New Guinea. And if we were to bring that curriculum quick, I am one fan of a person that wants to see that curriculum develop quickly. So the short question is that when would his department or the ministry bring that into picture or reality so that we can quickly roll that out across the country? Thank you.
The Honorable Minister of Higher Education.
Thank you. Question, Honorable Leader and member. Hey, one I'm telling me, business asked here. And you ask him question, asked him, give him statement, finish, and me blow this place. So the Marape Rosso government, sleep staff, me to buy me working next time, me working finish, the me blow working, but to do them. Thank you.
Thank you. The Honorable Member for Nawai. Member for Wawaria.
Thank you, Deputy Speaker. Thank you once again. Look so long, all people belong you, lo Wawaria. My Deputy Speaker, my question is to the Minister for ICT. In the matter of background, I would like to congratulate him for his very informative ministerial statement a couple of days ago. He has really taken the department to the next level by creating several policies and act under his ministry. The ICT sector is on the right footing under his leadership. Now, my question is related to digital. We want to rename ICT sector to be a digital sector. Now, central to the digital sector is internet. The major component of a digital sector is internet. And central to internet is internet price, internet access, and internet speed. My question is related to internet price. We have, for the last couple of years, invested a lot of millions of kina into connecting the Coral Sea cables, the internet cable that connects Papua New Guinea to Australia, and the Kumul national submarine cables that connect Wanima to Port Moresby and to East New Britain, all these provinces in the country. So we have invested a lot of money into connecting the internet cables. My question is, we have been also promised that the internet price will come down with all these millions of kinas of investment. But right now, the internet price in PNG is the highest in the region and highest in the world. My question to the good minister is, when will his department bring the internet price down? Are they doing anything to bring the internet price down for the local end users? Internet is no longer a want, it is a necessity in the digital sector. So my good minister, please can you tell the people of Papua New Guinea, what is your department doing to bring the internet price down? Thank you, Deputy Speaker.
The Honourable Minister for Communication.
Thank you, Mr. Deputy Speaker, and thank you, True Long. Good member Long Wawaria, Long this good question, Long
ask him long price long internet by come down 1M time, or by come down, or by also 1M. Yes, I mean true, this pla talk long internet price lo come down. I mean one pla area where me pla work look long inside long ministry, na lo department, and need long ministry nikta staban need long ministry blomi, one time NBC na to department. Na display me one pla big pla issue straight lo display time. Display issue belong bring him down internet. There are contributing factors that every work will make him display price long internet long come down hurry up. Now one pla long all them gateway belong internet. Gateway you may got lo Papua New Guinea and one pla gateway taso. You may got one pla gateway taso na. This is a very technical area. Supposed me describing them by close to Kisimi long pla time through. But I just want to say that it's like a highway where all carries a speed na run long em. Highway emi also one pla big pla road. Emi got tasol hablo yulo speed long em. Na got a lig road stop or feeder roads. All feeder roads you come long em, now you go inside lo this pla highway. So suppose you mix him this la picture also. By you looking more same time road time carry come long feeder road na go inside long highway. And by must waiting about carry speed to go, by must go past them, and then we can go inside the highway. And that's the simplest illustration I can give to our people to understand how it works. So now we have just one, and we are in the process of looking at creating maybe one or two more gateways in the country, so that we can have this movement taking place at a more speedy pace, and not like now what is happening. That's just one of those things that we are looking at, and there are others. We are still in the department, in the ministry, we are still looking at issues where relate long internet, long come down long em, and I'm also looking at how we can bring internet to the provinces at a more speedy level, and to the districts as well. You must have it all inside long all districts where it's la financial system emi walk long in emi walk one time internet. Now suppose you no got internet long all districts and by this la FMS emi no walk good. Emi need him internet. So we need to build all these things. So we are working towards all that. You mean by having some like issues long internet price and stuff also. Right now, it is an issue that my department is focused on. We are looking at it. The ministry is looking at it, and I know that when the right time comes, we will make an announcement. We are doing all we can to make sure that this internet price must come down, so that by me by me speed. One other thing, honorable members, through you, Deputy Speaker, is that internet is a foreign way of communicating, and it is new to our people in this country. And I have to be very frank here, that internet comes with a lot of issues. And that's where it leads to cyber security, cyber crime, cyber abuse, and all these issues that, as a minister, we must sit down and look long how best our people can have access to an internet service that is fast and that is cheaper. Because there are too many people out there who are using internet today for things that is not right. There's a lot of pedophiles taking place through internet. There is a lot of criminal activities taking place. That is why we build this cyber security long department, long government. Now that is why we making sure that we protecting all citizens too. Long you must they must be literate in the usage of internet and how best it can benefit the people. All money got sabe, and only using good. Or do you seem to work long? But what about these people who don't understand, but they have it as a free access? Only got the phone belong on, only got the display device belong on. when they use it, one of them good plus something bali come up long ema. So long answering this question, me like to question, we are working on it. It's not an easy thing that by people are working overnight. There's been questions about the price coming down. Yes, for business, I apologize to the business community that it is still hard, or I mean, still on top, long price long M, but we will get there. We will get there. Thank you very much, Deputy Speaker.
The honourable member for North Wagi.
Okay, Mr. Speaker, Deputy Speaker, thank you for giving me time to ask my questions without notice to the Minister for Higher Education, Honourable Don Polip. I commend you for the report that you have given us yesterday. But there's one thing that you have missed out, and I really want to ask you. On the 28th of July 2022, National Executive Council have approved PNG Early Childhood Education Policy for implementation. And on your report, I've seen that you haven't listed or haven't mentioned about this policy. And early childhood education is very important in this country. Now we are talking about big things. But if we really want to change our country and change the mindset of the people of this nation and reduce all kinds of evil things within this country, we have to start off with early childhood education. And this is very important. Many times we talk about primary school, high school, secondary school, and universities and other tertiary institutions. But we are not talking about early childhood. If we provide a program for early childhood with basing on the biblical principle or Christian principle, then I think we will have a better country. And yesterday I looked through to your report, and I haven't seen anything about early childhood education. And I know that our Prime Minister, with his National Executive Council, have approved already early childhood education policy and implementation. So I want to ask you, have you seen it? And when are we going to implement it? And is the policy ready so that we can implement it, so that we can start providing early childhood education throughout our country? Thank you.
The Honourable Minister for Higher Education.
Thank you, Deputy Speaker. I'm good to question the Honourable Member below. I'm not going to ask him. May I say give him this platform below Maraperoso government, and me give him long higher education and long grade 12. All grade 12 students come into the university, all colleges, all TVET. And now I'm all policy where me talk also me drive him, me look at him, this is sector. Now early childhood, elementary comment also grade 12, Mr. Bani, general education minister. They believe also education minister and need government marape, but kisim policy paper come and banamba tie in long one of me present master. Now I'm addressing early childhood education as per 28 July 22 and this paper decision in Tokyo and now general education minister of education and number presenting by addressing early childhood. About long higher education policy, but looking we put him TVET training. Bit of TVET training where all teachers, colleges can ban TVET long higher education now. There's a long area where we look at him now. So, Mr. Deputy Speaker, by looking also me TVET training, and now we play training more teacher long carefully teach him all this early childhood curriculum or the school where by come out long general education and Minister Jimmy. So I'm stop also, so me clear this so we can understand it. We got two component education staff. Higher general. The general may come mark grade 12. Now come on top, I'm not stopping it. Honorable Minister, which is myself. So, what am my issue with Deputy Speaker, Member Blong, the Honorable Member Blong, not working resume, very important. Me believe also this issue must be the issue that we address, and I think it is addressed adequately. Long training, teachers belong address him, teach him all early childhood long ground level, but also policy belong education. And Minister Jimmy, by me present him how by me blind to college and displace a government going forward in the next 5 years. So we believe in those Bible principles. We believe in enlightenment of the human mind. We believe in awakening in our systems, and we will make sure we train that in the early child, the newborn baby, so that suppose first generation she going to have negative passing or get a new generation and maybe focus on them, maybe come up in this place. So me talking a member of work one time, Mina to Education Minister, me black and join them team together. Thank you very much, Deputy Speaker.
Honourable members, I understand that we have many members who wish to ask questions, but our time has lapsed. Minister for Communication, Minister for Commerce and Industry.
Thank you, Deputy Speaker. Deputy Speaker, can I ask leave to answer questions raised by our good member for Menyama yesterday? Thank you.
Minister, you may make your speech.
Thank you, Deputy Speaker, for giving me the opportunity to answer questions without notice raised by member from Minama yesterday. Mr. Deputy Speaker, questions are directed to me relating to lack of control on the influx of substandard or unsafe products being imported by traders in our country, which are put on shelves and sold to our people. NISIT, or National Institute of Standards and Industrial Technology, is the body responsible for developing standards for products and services in PNG. However, it is concerning to see that many low quality or substandard products flooding into our markets that obviously do not meet the standard. Mr. Deputy Speaker, questions raised explained to explain if NISIT has developed Papua New Guinea standards for foods and non-food items coming into the country, and that NISIT Act 1993 has sufficient provisions or treatment and regulations to control the imports to ensure only standards products are entering our country and find their way to the shelves of the traders in our country. Mr. Deputy Speaker, it is very important questions raised by the good member for Minyama. Well, we all go to shops, buy things, and many times we are not assured whether what we wear or buy or use, consume, is a standard product or not. Mr. Deputy Speaker, the Honourable Member for Minyama is correct in raising the issues in that the current NISIT Act 1993 give provisions for NISIT to develop voluntarily standards only and provide commercially driven quality services for calibration, accreditation and certification, which covers product certification of exports and products verification of imports. Mr. Deputy Speaker, the current NISIT Act enables the core functions for NISIT to operate as a service provider of government, but has not explicit regulatory powers when it comes to the enforcement of standards. Whilst the NISIT Act is provision to allow market forces to dictate only a quality of goods and services, NISIT has over the past years experienced that consumer behavior has led our markets and the business houses
to an all-time low on the expectations of the quality in products and services. The cheaper standard products that find a way into our markets are preferred by our customers or consumers. Only a niche market for quality product exists. To reserve this market, reverse this market, NICIT had to carefully work on reviewing its act to add in an optional pathway for development of standards. Mr. Speaker, the NICIT, the revised NICIT Act is major review that has new inclusions which are not in the market or in the current Act, and they include voluntarily standards development, mandatory standards development, and necessary enforcement provisions and penalties for non-compliance. In items of its conformity assessment schemes, NICIT will roll out a compulsory product certification and product verification program. NICIT will have a compulsory accreditation scheme for testing laboratories. All laboratories must be accredited or they won't operate. Mr. Speaker, all government regulations or regulators will be subject to compulsory accreditation for their inspections and surveillance functions, and to ensure that regulations are in line with the PNG standards set for the sector. NICIT has worked on the draft NICIT Act for the last 2 years, and finalized draft was submitted on the 15th September to Department of Justice and Attorney General's input. Mr. Speaker, on this revised law, it will give NICIT the required provisions to act with its stakeholders to bring PNG's market standard problem under control. Hence, we must support NICIT to have its new bill passed for it to discharge its duties. Thank you, Deputy Speaker.
Honourable members, grievance debate. The Honourable Member for Jimmy.
Thank you, Deputy Speaker. Me just like raise him legal points maybe next 5 minutes. The rural airstrips, because of the change of aviations, the planes, also one engine, all done away with. Na mi got caravan which travel much faster. Na all kata strips probably rural areas some need him extension forward or backwards long accommodating all display. Na me really understand him also budget blow me and budget time so me just raise him display long. Maybe Minister Blong, transport na civil aviation you can take note. Na you can up him budget rural airstrips. It's part of linking rural to urban. So you may concentrate on road now. No good you may let him display go down, because some places like Jimmy and Middle Ramo and some other places like Western Gulf now, all display places and heavily Obura one another. And some places that need him all really planes go in and out. Na meeting some budget also 10, maybe 15, maybe 20, and by big boost long display areas. Because kind of them tomorrow we must fly. PMV round some finish. Now we will run lot chata. That's all plenty airstrips from Mibla no not use him. Only 1 or 2 out of many or some loyalty from me use him na. Me really got concern. Now all members he got all airstrips long into worry long all I think me bandolim one time na. Me just said him tassel. Suppose in any way that you may all get the leaders can put him input or make him budget chilling blong. Rural airstrip to RAA can increase and by really help him. Help him now display and by solve him
and by really make him link the missing links or links that you may like link him through the roads. Here too you may can make him and by help him long cargo, copy, people, passengers, sick patients, drugs, education supplies and health supplies can flow in, flow out along this plan. Thank you. That's all.
Honorable Governor Foro.
Thank you, Deputy Speaker, for giving me the opportunity to say a few things. I have a few grievances that I wish to put out here or talk about. But first, Deputy Speaker, I just want to point out, for the benefit of our people and for the media to take note, that a large number of our members of parliament are involved in election petitions and have been required to turn up at court even during parliament sessions. And so a large number of them are not present. So in case the people or the media report that their members of parliament are not present, the fact of the matter is they have been taken away and are attending this court matter. So I want to make this point so that it can be reported and clarified so that our people know that we are actually attending to our duties and responsibilities. That is one point I wanted to make here on behalf of myself and all my other colleagues who are attending this election petition matters. The other issue that I wish to raise, and I want to have the Minister for Lands take note of, is an incident that occurred, which has been reported on one of our dailies in regards to a policeman that has been shot during an eviction exercise that took place in Port Moresby or in NCDC. And I just wish to make a few points about this. This incident should not have happened if the responsible department was actually performing its duties to manage this very vital asset, land, for which it is responsible, especially state land, but it also is responsible for traditional land, but more so state land, of which apparently in Papua New Guinea, depending on what statistics you read, there's between 10–15% that's available as state land for investors and for government business and so forth, henceforth. But I'd like to point out that the Department of Lands has not been doing a great job at managing this very important asset. As a result, you'll see that a lot of this land has been illegally occupied by our own citizens in many instances who are traveling into our urban areas because of urban drift. And that's an issue that we need to resolve. Why is there such a thing happening? Urban drift, what's going on there? We need to understand this and take counteractive measures. But also land grabbing. Now, some instances where there is genuine investor involvement, where genuine investors are involved in taking up land, state land for development purposes, well, we have no problem with this. I particularly have no problem with this, and I believe that none of my colleagues here, in fact, any law-abiding person would have no problem with this. If they're following the laws that strictly dictate how they should be performing in acquiring land, developing that land. If it's an individual, then obviously for what purposes? If it's a company, is it a legitimate company, registered for tax purposes, registered with the IPA? And how has it been performing as a company? Is it an established company? Is it a genuine company? And here's the issue, Minister for Lands, and in fact I'd like the Minister for Trade or Commerce and Industry to also take note, because a particular department which he oversees in his ministry, the Investment Promotion Authority, is responsible in this instance. There are a number of companies that are not genuine in how they're operating in our country. They are using Papua New Guineans as fronts And a number of companies have, these particular type of companies have gone out and illegally obtained land for whatever reason or purpose. But the fact that they are using these companies as fronts, as PNG companies, is what we need to be concerned about. Because by doing so, one, they are avoiding certain taxes, and two, they are actually engaging in fraud. Many times, Papua New Guineans, we are our own worst enemies, to be honest, are put as directors and shareholders. But the details are in the bank account details. Are they bank account signatories? What's happening with these bank accounts for these companies? Because although they might be listed as directors and shareholders, the fact of the matter is that the bank account details will tell you who are the real owners of this company. And under the pretext of being a Papua New Guinean company and therefore enjoying certain tax benefits, they're able to carry out these activities. And one of those activities is land grabbing. So there's now significant reports coming out on social media, so it has to be verified because, as we all know, not everything on social media can be trusted, but increasingly so print media. Can we review this information that's coming out? Companies have been named, individuals have been named, and an investigation needs to be undertaken by both your departments, including the police, because this is a matter of fraud. They should be especially interested now that one of their own has been shot while executing his duties. Is this company a genuine investor? Are these Papua New Guinean shareholders and directors also signatories to the bank account and therefore the actual dealings of that company? That's what needs to be investigated. As chairman of the Special Parliamentary Committee on Public Sector Reforms, I will be issuing letters to the heads of your departments and asking them what they're going to do about this particular instance or with this particular situation. But it's happening throughout the country. And it's not just foreign companies that are doing it, it's also Papua New Guinean companies that are using France to go out and grab land. This does not excuse the people who are unlawfully squatting on that land. That in itself is also, what they're doing is illegal and in breach of various laws. But it also highlights the fact that the Lands Department is failing to manage this very vital asset. I want to commend you, Deputy Prime Minister. You have done a magnificent job through you, Deputy Speaker. But I would like you to also have a look at an IT system that was developed for lands, which cost this country, I think, more than 40 million kina. That in itself was a scam, by the way, and should be investigated. At a cost of 40 million kina for such a system, you would think we would have a very effective asset management mechanism in place to prevent this type of things from happening. So that's my concern about this particular grievance. In regards to the matter of the IPA, Deputy Speaker, the IPA has become a mere rubber stamp, inviting anyone and everyone into this country and registering anyone who wants to do whatever type of business in here. All these government departments, entities, etc., have a responsibility to protecting the economy of this nation and the interests of our people and citizens. And they have a vital role to play as enforcers of the laws that they are supposed to be administrating. Oftentimes we are always blaming the police for not doing their job, or not doing enough, or not doing it properly. But the fact of the matter is that many of these government departments are simply not stepping up and doing their jobs. So in the instance of IPA, they are not doing a survey of companies operating in this country to see if they are actually sticking to what they had said they would do in terms of business in this country. Many of them come in to do a particular business, suddenly they're in another part of the country doing something completely different from what they said they would be doing. Many of them are using fronts. They use Papua New Guineans as fronts while they're carrying on businesses and avoiding certain taxes because they are deemed to be PNG companies. The IPA cannot just be a rubber stamp. It must vigorously protect the interests of Papua New Guineans and Papua New Guinea.
So those are my grievances in regards to this particular matter. And I thought I would just share them with the House. Thank you very much, Deputy Speaker.
The Honourable Governor for ECPIC.
Mr. Deputy Speaker, I wish to raise grievances on the issue of lawlessness in our country. And so I thank you for the opportunity. And I want to make a statement, first of all, in direct contrast to what the good governor for Morobe was.
Honourable Governor, sorry to interrupt you. I just want to put this straight for our handset record. Please address the chair as acting speaker. Thank you.
My apologies, acting speaker. I want to make a direct reference and contradiction to what the Honourable Governor for Morobe said in his preamble to the question that he raised to the Prime Minister. And he said, and I quote, "We are a Christian country." I take issue with that, Mr. Acting Speaker, simply because we are now the second most lawless country on planet Earth, based on official figures. The only country with the worst criminal issue in the world is Venezuela. Papua New Guinea is number 2. And we cannot dispute that, Mr. Acting Speaker. For instance, even in my province, we are struggling. We have a recent trend where young men produce their own weapons. It started off for fishing, and they now carry them around quite happily, just waiting for trouble, so they can use it on each other. We have so far lost 5 people through the use of these new weapons. They used to be fishing implements. We are also losing people to bush knives. At our hospital, the rate of trauma is over 60%. What does that mean? That means that the people that get injured by things like wire catapult, things like bush knives, takes up 60% of the hospital's resources. And I'm sure if you check some of the other provinces, they will have similar statistics. We had a meeting, we had a crisis meeting to try to deal with the issue. In ECPIC, we have 160 policemen and women who are active. 160 to police an area that is 4,400,000 hectares of land with a population of 600,000 people. We don't have enough policemen. I checked our budget figures for this year, and I note that our police are going to get 360 million in the budget allocation we passed last year, and out of that, 285 million is going to go for wages and emoluments. We need to do something. I think this House needs to do something. When the new budget comes in, I personally want to see an increase in police budgets. We can't play around with this anymore. Our young people are restless. They don't respect the authority of elders in the village anymore. And so they are running around looking for fights. That's not just in my province. I think it's in every province. We sit here and we talk about investments. We go out of Papua New Guinea and we go and talk to foreign investors and we want to invite them in here. We want the private sector to invest and create jobs. None of those things are going to happen if there is no law and order. None of it will happen. It's as simple as that. I was discussing with a certain foreign partner about the possibility of getting volunteer teachers from their country to come to my province to teach particularly STEM subjects. Now the good ambassador kindly and politely told me, he said this, he said, 20 years ago, we had volunteers in every province in Papua New Guinea. Over time, we started to withdraw all of our volunteers. And we ended up in just 2 provinces, East New Britain and Milne Bay. Then we had to pull out of East New Britain. And recently we pulled out of Milne Bay. So they no longer have any volunteers in Papua New Guinea anymore. And the simple reason, law and order. We can build classrooms. They are going to bend them down. We can build roads. All back up na digging road here. We can go and put all kinds of projects. They are not going to work because there is general lawlessness going on. I had a bridge bent recently in Isipik, right next to my own village, and I had to go down there and try and talk to the people because of criminal activities. Because of criminal activities. I would like to see that we bring in amendments to the criminal code first of all, that we make the penalty for the use of wire catapult, bush knife, or anything that is used in the commission of a crime a minimum of 10 years, just like we did for guns. I want to bring those amendments to the floor. Enough is enough. And then we have to build bigger prisons, whether we like it or not. Mibla lo isipik, mibla find osem. If we arrest 20 people, we don't have the cells to hold them. We don't have the space at Boron. So we've got to look at the whole chain and we've got to build it. And I've asked my own open members, I said, next year, suppose national government come, you may all gotta put in 5 million lo DSIP, you build him cell, police house, lo, district blah, blah, and I will build the accommodation at Boron from the PSIP. We've got to take serious action because our young people don't care anymore. You drive the road, we go wire catapult by come through WW. When there's a fight, they don't just stick to the troublemakers all yet. Anybody who is suspected that you are fair game. It's happening here in Mosby too, quite regularly. We saw some recently at the overpass. We need better prosecution. And any new money to the police must involve the recruitment of competent lawyers who will become police prosecutors. So when these culprits are arrested, when they perpetrate a crime, Jimmy Karimol Golo courthouse, we know that 90% of the time we will get a conviction. The all by Gona Karabus. We need better trained police as well. Our policemen and women need to be better trained, they need to be better skilled. And I think we need to bring in non-lethal weapons as well. You may give more gantasol. Time all money biget lo street. Police by either fire lo all tribe lo sutim lo leg. Na suppose all abrus no katim one atri lo money lo leg. And by bleed out na inday on the way to the hospital. And what happens? All the policemen that are involved, they all get sent to jail for 20 years. That doesn't help. All policemen too less lo work now. Because chance blow logo karabus too have increased because the judges are taking a hard line as well. So we are losing on all fronts. Police need to be better disciplined, but at the same time, we need to amend the laws to give protection to policemen and women. If in the event of carrying out their duties to protect our public and to protect public property, now suppose only abrus na kilimon blaman, the law needs to see the policemen in a better light. Ino M2 yumi salim go karabus. We are just making things harder for ourselves. We need more men. ECPIC needs at least a doubling of policemen and women. We play no good enough now. And finally, in closing, Mr. Acting Speaker, in my research I found out that America has the largest prison system in the world. They have the largest incarcerated population. And I thought to myself, that's because America is supposed to be the most free country on earth. Mibla lo here, yeah. I think we are the most free country. We have so much freedom, you can do whatever you want. You like killing man, you like rape, or you like making one of them, you want to go and destroy somebody's car, or you want to have a tribal fight in the middle of the city. You can go ahead and do it. No God man will arrest you. Now tomorrow you can come and walk him can. Because no one is going to arrest you. And if they do arrest you, there's no space in the prison. So we need to build it all. Because with great freedom comes great responsibility. And because our people have a lot of freedom, we need to build prisons like in America. We need to take this seriously. And we need to police the freedoms. Because those freedoms, if you don't exercise them responsibility, like we had responsibly, like Yumiok Lowokim, You may make it nothing. Now you may think also you may free law make it something. That's when the state needs to exercise its power so that it can protect the innocent. And that's what we need to do, Mr. Acting Speaker. I'm grievance Blomilo now. Thank you.
The Honourable Member for Abao.
Thank you, Mr. Deputy Speaker, for giving me the opportunity to air a few issues that I have observed for the last 20 years as Member of Parliament, and I thank my people of Abao for continuously voting me back, and this is my 5th term. And very few of us are left, so I'd like to share my observations in this first grievance debate of the 11th Parliament. Firstly, in relation to the Honourable House, Deputy Speaker that you are the chair of, Acting Speaker. My observations are that given the separation of powers of the three arms of government, my observation is that the judiciary is okay in terms of the separation of powers. However, the issue lies with the executive and the legislature. Because we are a unicameral system, and some of us advocate for the bicameral, and hopefully over time, with constitutional reform, we will hopefully move into the bicameral system. Under the unicameral system, the Honourable House, headed by the Chair, yourself, has very important parliamentary committees. Currently, there are 17 permanent parliamentary committees. And so far in the 11th Parliament, we have selected 2 special committees. Hopefully some more will come. My observations are, and I was leader of government business in 2002 when I first entered Parliament. And I thought it was always right that the leader of government business under the arm of the executive arm of the government move motions to appoint members of the parliamentary committees. And I have realized that we need to relook at that. I think we've been doing it wrong. And therefore, bordering on the separation of powers between the three arms, particularly the executive and the legislature. I believe, Mr. Acting Speaker, that you are the most powerful person, not the Prime Minister, because your parties can call the ministers of state, like the Public Accounts Committee, can call anybody, even the Prime Minister or the Deputy Prime Minister. However, our problem has been, our practice has been that the parliamentary committees are appointed by the executive government. They're interfering with the House, Mr. Deputy Speaker, Acting Speaker. And so I think, coming to our 50th anniversary in 3 years' time, I think we have to relook at this. Our people work very, very hard, and I welcome all the new members of Parliament in this 11th Parliament. You work very, very hard to come and be a member of the National Parliament. This is the highest house. However, I have observed that the executive government has always interfered through this legislature. For example, how many constitutional laws have gone back to the Supreme Court and said that's unconstitutional? Why? Because the executive government uses the numerical strength to get the numbers required. I think that is playing down the role and the power of the chair. I strongly suggest, Mr. Acting Speaker, that you relook at this arrangement. I think we've been doing it all wrong. This is why in this honourable House, in the absence of a bicameral, with the legislature and the executive many times hold hands. Let me give you another example. I believe that the Private Business Committee, at the moment, there are 7 of you in the Private Business Committee. That Private Business Committee, serious, always looks at the motion of the vote of no confidence, for example. Unfortunately, when we try to come on the floor on the vote of no confidence process, whoever has the numbers recommends the establishment of the private business committee members. Speaker and the deputy are members of the committee. 5 others are mainly from the government, because the leader of government business recommends to the floor who should be members of the private business committee. And so we play politics, and the agenda doesn't come on the floor of Parliament. Mr. Speaker, it's a constitutional motion. It should be entertained on the floor of Parliament. This is the most important legislature. Nor the executive, nor the judiciary should play with that constitutional motion, for example. And so one suggestion would be the chairman of the private business committee, Speaker is the chair. The other 6 members, 3 from the government, 3 from the opposition. Balance it out. And so the legislature plays its real role as a legislature. I strongly recommend, Honorable the Acting Speaker, that we relook at this so-called practice that we've been doing since independence. I strongly believe that the members of the Parliamentary Committee should be appointed by the Speaker without fear and favor. There should be a balance in the Parliamentary Committee. I also believe that the Parliament budget should never be interfered by the executive government. Once the Speaker presents the budget, that budget, nobody touches it. Like the budget of the judiciary, all independent arms here. Who is the executive to play around with the budget? Your budget and the judiciary budget. So these are the areas I believe I have observed, Mr. Acting Speaker, that we in this honorable House, we fight to occupy a seat in this honorable House. But when we come, the power of the executive many times, in my humble opinion, overrules the work of the legislature. Please pray about it. Let's have more debate on it through the Parliamentary Standing Committee or yourself as the Chair of the House to relook at it. I think this is time for change. I think we need to, for example, all executive, all 33 Tasulia, all the ministers of state. Rest of us are members of Parliament. We shouldn't be succumbing to the directions of the executive government. We should hear and say, I want to vote for this law, I don't want to vote for this law. When you don't vote for this law, you don't get to a DSIP. Those practices I have seen, I have played it too, Mr. Speaker, Acting Speaker. And so I think it's about time we put a higher bar on this honorable House. Mr. Acting Speaker, please, I request humbly for us to really look at it, the operations of the honorable House. Number one, 2023 budget. Budget below you, NEC must not can touch it. Your committee must be fully budgeted. They must operate. Every day the country's citizens must see committees of the honorable House working in public media. Then we address these issues of law and order. We address these issues of inefficiency in service delivery around the country. This Parliament must demonstrate leadership through the parliamentary committees. Mr. Acting Speaker, I believe I work very hard to be a member of this honorable House. But when I come, I compromise. And somebody told me politics is the art of bending backwards. As long as you don't break, me less will bend backwards anymore. I think we should put the honorable House in its rightful place. In its rightful place. You are the head of the legislature, Mr. Speaker. You are more powerful than our Prime Minister in this honorable House. Our Deputy Prime Minister, any governor or any Minister of State. And first do it by you controlling the members of the Parliamentary Committee. Our committee law, NEC, no gatia. NEC has its own committees, and committees of parliament blow you here. You had no legislature. I thought I needed to make this statement. Think about it. My last comment while the public service minister is here, before I sit down, my time is up. I strongly believe, and we have a Parliamentary Committee on Public Sector Reform through the Honorable Governor for Oro. He's been doing a great job. And that means that we are always worried about the delivery arm of the nation, which is the public service. I strongly recommend, through you, Acting Speaker, to the Honorable Minister for Public Service, to change the Public Services Commission to the Public Services Ombudsman. Public Services Ombudsman. Public Service Commissioner, I'm not got titia. He's just worried about the aggrieved public servants. They go back to the commission and they try to go back to the department to reinstate them. No, God. We need an ombudsman of the public service. Ombudsman must call upon every departmental head, every provincial administrator, every district CEO, why service delivery is not working. Thank you, Honorable Acting Speaker.
The Honourable Member for Pomio.
Thank you, Mr. Deputy Speaker. I also would like to contribute to this grievance debate with three topics or three items. Firstly, with my capacity also as the Deputy Chairman of the Public Sector Reform Service Delivery and the Senior Minister for Public Service too, I'd like to firstly point out the Dr. Golonga Kubla Minister of Public Service with the priority of government law now, the Honorable Prime Minister appointed 3 other ministers supporting the Department of Agriculture and Livestock. So we have the Ministry for Agriculture, the Ministry for Coffee, Minister for Livestock and for Oil Palm. Total problem today, which I was going to raise it during the question time today, was the Yumi planting line, you tinting or find out how poly report you go along one of the ministers. Secretary Blows tabloe by Statok must come clear Yumi. One and all this la 3 blow 4 blow ministers now create him, Prime Minister create him because of look blow Yumi now, priority blow Yumi go back to agriculture. I mean important true. Yumi just look him channel of communication, reporting structure, laws department. He must have place clear so that Yumi can make him good talk work blow Yumi. Now plenty member too, usati like looking also ministers too, but he can go through those channels, proper channels now report the go usat so that they can have their concerns met by these respective departments were created. So firstly, me commending Prime Minister law appointment law ministers. I just a matter of knowing who to report to when it comes to meeting certain peoples, especially with regard to the secretaries and the staff that are concerned in the respective departments. Second point, Mr. Speaker, Deputy Speaker, me just Tuesday this week, me accompanying Minister of Health, he go along Port Moresby General Hospital. Now you look him, they only couple 60 machine law cancer services where you go support him or 7 people blowing the country law cancer law enga hospital let me pack up non-operable or non-operational, non-functioning law last 3 years ago finish. Mr. Deputy Speaker, generally meaning that at the moment one line blowing the country where Emi got sick cancer, now you go along needing more radiotherapy treatment and by not kissing Marasi in the country blow Yemi. So that means planting line now. You know, also didn't got money. You saw a penny all go on the map. But Kupla news blow me, I'm also Mr. Deputy Speaker. There's a lot of good things happening at PMGH, which it's a positive news and a good news, and the way forward for cancer treatment is very, very clear, according to the PMGH CEO and the management team there, which me support him on behalf of the opposition. Maybe support him as work with also Minister of Health. Maybe we go on to them now. I said, politics aside, we need to support this, and as we go towards the next 3 years supporting or celebrating 50th anniversary of our nation, by me celebrating on something. By me salim online doing me overseas yet. By me glare mo sem tuplas, all mama blowing me die all get the yellow cervical cancer yet. Is that the news that we're going to get in the next couple of years to come yet, or by me since like news? So, me ask him, I said, firstly, Kupla service now, only PMCH CEO and Minister belonging to committee mall. Dr. Pake Molume is doing a good job there with a very, very clear way forward in what they need to do and what needs to be done. And firstly, so side long, cancer, I only need him the amount which I thinking that the Minister for Health was going to present in his ministerial statement to this week of Parliament, but clear. I think he's still doing that, but for now, me like making Dr. Golsem. There was a funding commitment of 50 million kina cancer facility to be completed by in this year's budget, and only releasing the 23 million kina go finish long all. Now I'm 27 million kina stop it, so me ask him Mosema, there's la money. True, there's la money only any big needs red only complete in la cancer facility. So I know that the good Prime Minister and we know that this is a priority at the moment, and let's complete this project and make our people happy and get or receive this kind of service within the country and no more going overseas. Second, something suppose on the line blame or kissing a heart attack or some pain or chest blow today, you go to PMCH now, some kind blockage or heart rate or vessel or blood vessel or heart blow you. All you can straight him long PMCH. And one block service is tablo. Now only to go 700 line. We are supposed to go to Australia or Singapore. Only treat them all successfully. Successfully, only treat them all only come out to hospital bed. It's a successful stories. We have the technical capacities. Deputy Speaker, we got the plant, a couple of doctors, staff trained, very, very highly qualified people who are doing these jobs, and they just need the support to continue to so that we can get this kind of service in our country, which on the opposition side we fully support this. I'm about to talk next 3 years that's all I mean no time to mass. Now facility where CEO on the table make it PMCH, people agree also me must complete him. Now me asking Prime Minister and team belong him government. I'm asking if we can make a commitment on the floor of Parliament for the leaders, the 118 of us on this floor, the committee on 500,000 kina each, one SIP blue me. Now supporting this project, which Pomio district, meet the gold committee first. Let's put our words, put our actions to where our mouth is, and let's make this happen, which I believe. In the last week, me gisim tubla phone call come to golsem tula mandalo cancer, lo line blow me. And we got to continue to allow this to happen. I believe that implant the line we can same call too. So me believe also me plan need lo committee money. Suppose me lo pani money lo sablab. I believe that the DSI fund round 500,000 kina. Suppose me multiply him long one blah. You are 18 of us and make 59 million kina. That's enough to complete most of these projects. Get one probably done and take it off, and get the people treated in our country, and let's look at other things to support. Second, Dr. Blomi, Mr. Speaker. Lost something like touch him longer than Biani Dr. Blong, Minister of Works and Highways law, asked him, present him. Thank you, through law government, or give him, or consider him a South Coast corridor. Start Kokopo, I go to La Pomio, I go to Cannon Closter, that's about 240 kilometers of coastline. Me and I've been 1 or 2 months last year, time only bringing this La Tok Tok or connect PNG, a bill where been connecting Pomio, connecting South Coast corridor, Amy Golo northern part of the New Britain Highway. I go to some lab West New Britain. I'm aware that the government now looks at again and put him South Coast inside this lab. I can say today that most of the cocoa and the copra and the coffee that's coming to Kokopo are not coming from the South Coast part of New Britain Highland. That's coming from my district and Cannon Closter district. So rightfully, if we have to commit funding to areas that will get the economic outcome or return, we need to commit funding to these kind of areas. So me like ask him also, thank you. I know that the government continue to support our roads and our bridges. I'm asking me looking at there was about 10 or 12 bridges that were given to the New Britain Highway. Mr. Deputy Speaker, me looking on the bridge goes to the South Coast, but I believe that next year or so there will be some consideration made to some of the bridges that are going from Pomio to Kokopo and to Cannon Closter. Thank you very much, Deputy Speaker.
The Deputy Prime Minister.
Thank you, Mr. Deputy Speaker. I'd like to join the debate, especially on the important debate that Honorable Governor Jufa raised. Regarding the issues, law eviction, law Morata, na lo plenty have me too. The one especially at Morata was taken out, that land was granted in inside 2011. In all now, I'm long time through, like plenty all nap like around. I'm 2011, I will grant him big club ground legally. Na time only take possession lab, or you got stop work notice, na court order, na something. So the company, 6 estate, I mean, sigo kam no court. Sigo kam no court na. Recently, I'll see Supreme Court order. Supreme Court order, lo carry out this la eviction. Mile point out time, Supreme Court order. Honorable Governor Pakop, na mipla been trying lo work one time, lo try set him aside this la. But in 2017, before I became the lands minister, 2017 too, all lands department try lo involved lo this la. All been also some restraining order against law lands department. So this lands department restraining order is stopped, so they cannot act on either forfeiture or handling this ground. Maybe trying to talk to Governor Pakop, but with at the same time taking into consideration that it is now something the Supreme Court and not bordering on contempt. I just like to generally, when I'm informing more people, believe me, you meet to this honorable house. That court order is stop them now. Plenty or line blue me lo disla all have ground. Plenty line affected lo disla. That is why time me take over as a lands minister 3 years ago, I've made it a point that we do not issue major titles where there is heavily congested or people blue me now. So me play by you notice him in the last 3 years, we have not issued any major titles. Lord, place where all line be missing out long to companies that can automatically evict them, na kind something awesome. We have been screening our land titles very, very carefully, especially on major portions and UDLs. Lo, this issue, I'm not legal issue too. I'm sensitive issue. Issue we are dealing with human beings, trango line blame plenty line blame stuff, plenty workman marry, and plenty all man marry in a work too. Plenty all sinan lo ground one sandi mas kilia too sampla sinan lo ground go sinan lo like blow. And like all gada napla ground, all gada ground got papa blow ground. Customary ground lo yimi lo place, you got papa blow ground. Na lo town a city blame too, you got papa blow ground. Papa blow ground either government or all title leaseholders. So it is pretty sensitive, lo yimi try lo sort him out. And particularly so for me, because I grew up in a settlement. So it's very sensitive for me too, knowing the hardships that we go through in a settlement. So lo disla, mipla try and walk him, lo alleviate him this law problems, mipla address him all, especially housing issues, believe me, where our people are forced to go and live in settlements, not through their own fault. Plenty, because you know got proper, cheap, affordable housing inside LOL areas, believe me, urban centers. So when this government came into power and I was appointed as lands minister, we made some interventions through the medium cost housing, and part of it is we intervened partnering with all kind of landowners and private enterprise and traditional landowners, one of which I explained earlier in Parliament this week was to put in a subdivision, a township at Tuhava, which puts in 4,000 houses for our middle income earners. That is not by government putting any money, but working closely with developers and the traditional landowners. NAPLA intervention, MIPLA partner, one time all super funds. MIPLA working lo Tarama, one time all line of comrade trustees, na defense force. That is another 2,000 houses that become up on top of market too, for our middle income earners. NAPLA 2, MIPLA partner, one time number one super. Naba NAPLA 2,000 allotments by come up lo antap lo 9 mile. NAPLA mipla partner again one them comrade trustees lo igam lo lay lo alleviate him na building one brand new suburb for our middle income earners. That's another 1,000. So all in all, you're looking at between about 9,000 middle income homes that I will be building through not one toy of government, but through partnerships with super funds and developers with money. So all building infrastructure, all building buara, all put the order something go inside, and they recover their money that way. But the planning, the something designs, and people lands and work one time. And I've made it very clearly to them that you have to keep the prices below 500,000. Tuhava will be averaging between 300 and 400,000. Lalay, 300 and 400,000. Lotarama, 300 and 400,000. But that is for the market at the middle income earners line, do you mean? And also, 3 weeks ago, I was fortunate to launch the public service housing scheme, which the public service minister too, and put in, lo alleviate more public service housing blimi lo bomana, and napla 1,000 allotments that will be developed over there too. And we are also working in progress. We have started the acquisition process. Namipla Traimlo put him another 5,000 allotments available on Najab, where we will be building a brand new city designed by our own people, our own Papua New Guineans. So these are interventions where the government and working where government itself has not spent one toya. We're thinking outside the box because government, you know what money you are spending. Plant intervention programs have been come up before this parliament me look popular pipe la solem sanap. Millions and millions and millions of kina wasted. This la government, me put him, me plan no wasting money, me plan no put one plan money inside the PIP program no working. We are partnering with the people who know best is a private sector, and we do what government does best, policy and planning. Na me plan working also. Similarly to the concerns raised on the wastage of money on the IT program within lands. Me too, me been concerned that me been come up lands minister and a huge gross wastage of nearly 50 million kina. You go inside the lands and no one good IT systems and up. So time me take over as minister of the lands, we also thought outside the box. Na me play kisim napla nupla system. We partnered with a company called NewPay. Now this company, I'm setting up all the IT system, registration, payment online, everything. I'll be a revenue system so that we are able to produce titles that cannot be forged or double handling blow on a duplication of titles. We also want to put in surveys that are not duplicated. Ono na boke survey antaplo survey. Plenty time you look survey go napla survey go antaplo title gan go antap gan one time. So you may put in this IT system, you go inside the place now. And the good news is that that system now is starting to work. I was pleasantly surprised. In the first half of this year, normally Lands Department picks up, Mr. Deputy Speaker, contributes to a budget about 20 million in 1 year. I was pleasantly surprised that in the first half of this year, the Lands Department now, through this new system, has collected 21 million kina. So it's heading towards our target of increasing revenue to put towards our budget. By the end of this year, it should hit 40 million. And my target is 100 million kina that land should put to contribute to our budget. Lohalbim. And every single department should be doing that. You may not come ask him lo monitor solo department what government can get from us. We should look at ideas to downsize. Look at ideas, innovative, thinking outside the box. To try to contribute na work him so you can put him hand one time. Na increase him revenue capacity blue me. Government. It's not about just picking up money. So this is a program too. Mipla address him and we'll be rolling out this program. Mito thank you, Prime Minister. Login back this la work blow lands, which we have unfinished plans in place. So we have started the program and we are working closely with the new housing minister. Lo rolling out all title blow liglig man meri blimi. All wet 40 years, 50 years, 30 years, true lolksin title. In places like Tent City in my hometown of Lake. Sampla papa mama sinda na daipinis no pingni sabla Tent City. A low medium earning suburb. Tent City now, I was happy to say last year, Mipla gave 400 title or liglig man meri lole. Mipla now rolling out 1 mile, 2 mile, 3 mile, 4 mile. We are giving titles to them. Mitoksa all get a line blue me where you come from an urban center. And I'm glad to say I compliment the member for Popondera. He was one of the first come sit down wanted me. Na me to sit down, straight him. And now I'm nearly over 100 titles, housing corporation titles, he's taken the initiative, put money up front, sorted it out. So now, close to time, me go give all title, legally man Mary, popon the town. Thank you.
Honorable Prime Minister, your 10-minute to debate is lapsed.
Thank you, True. I'm legally something me talk sa. Na me commend him to debate blow. Member Governor blow Oro. Me like him straight. This la walk him seen on Parliamentary Services Committee chairman ya. Emas round na holy mipla ogra accountable. Mipla all minister plus all departments blow mipla. By this something I'm working, I can work him so mipla can work mipla a little bit more efficiently, so that we can attend to our people in Papua New Guinea a lot more efficiently. So me commend him no this la something long. One time this la I think me clear him this la before me no like bother him lo contempt na go inside lo one me talk too much lo this la system title blow morata as it is now before the courts, but we are working closely with a good governor for NCDC. Mipla try and alleviate him or low-cost housing scheme blow me because middle income mipla attend long am. But trango liglik man meri blow me.
Honorable Governor.
Time.
Yes, Honorable Governor, I've already informed the
Minister,
Deputy
please,
Prime Minister.
like
So,
you,
Deputy Prime Minister, would you sum up your debate?
Thank you, Mr. Deputy Speaker. Thank you, Governor Blomilo. Point of order, you. Na bami the sit down meeting am important like something, so me clarify this lana, Mr. Down. I will discuss it in the next grievance debate, but we are working on it. Thank you very much.
The Honourable Member for Hiri.
I would just like to register some grievances, but I speak from the premise of a representative of a very new electorate, which sits at a very grim position to consider how to establish the district. And I come from a resource electorate, the background of a resource electorate. I take particular note of commentary made by the member for Nipa Kutubu earlier this morning in question time. His questions are that he is very much overwhelmed that the road allocations or infrastructure has missed their path. This is a sentiment not only limited to roads or general infrastructure, but something that is common throughout the nation. Mr. Acting Speaker, it is now only about 3 months into this new role that I've taken up, and my electorate in Hirikwayari, I receive a lot of messages and letters from constituents, particularly from the areas of Hiri West, where the plant site is domiciled, where questions are raised about the distribution or disbursement of PNG LNG proceeds since its inception, particularly in the benefits relating to the infrastructure development grants, which have lapsed in time. Over 10 years has come and gone, and that prescription has now gone. But the development levies are still being available and will crystallize from time to time. As they fall due, the provincial government will receive. The biggest question I am always asked time and again, where are these benefits? Where have they gone? I'm in a position of trying to build a new district administration in Bautama. My planning is in process. My burden is this: how am I going to finance it? Yes, there is PIP Avenue there. Yes, there's a little bit of DSIP to initiate the planning processes. But these electorates are privileged. Nipa Kutubu is one. The others. Hirikwayari hosts the plants, a conditioning plant, and yet I am seated here wondering how on earth am I going to service my district's initial capital. Perhaps this is something the Public Accounts Committee could really seriously consider, the breakup. Where did this money go and where is it sitting and who ate it? Why was it eaten without infrastructure being built? IDGs, I thought, Acting Speaker, had a premise, had dictates under planning for where the money should be going. These are confined to infrastructure. Where is the infrastructure now? You can take a camera to Iroquois and I assure you, you will find none. A very grim and very sad state that we have been left with. We now have the development levy to work for. Where will it go? Unfortunately, when the Organic Law and Provincial Local Governments Organic Law was set up, Section 33 promoted the establishment of an authority. The District Development Authority is the one that has been subsequently established, and my considered view and approach would have been a reform so that the District Development Authority receives under Section 98 and 99 of the same legislation, so that it pulls up a chair at the dining table when the pig is being cut for its people. It is ludicrous that a local level government should dictate or receive these benefits. And as I say this, I am reminded of the Treasurer's statement yesterday, the economic update. I flicked through this situation and I'm concerned, Acting Speaker, if this country will have a responsible revenue management system in place, so create a sustainable process going forward. Because when the gold finishes and the oil and gas will finish, what do we have? How are we going to finance our budget into the future?
Honorable Member.
Yes.
I'll interrupt you. According to our standing order, when it comes to 1 o'clock, our grievance debate will lapse. I therefore would like to interrupt and stop the debate from now, as our grievance debate has ended. I can allow you in another debate to continue your debate in other debate time. Thank you.
Thank you.
The question is that the grievances be noted. Those in favor say aye. Those against say no. Ayes have it. Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, I ask Labour Parliament to move a motion without notice.
The question is that the motion be agreed to. Those in favor say aye. Those against say no. Ayes have it. Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, I move that a leave of absence be granted to Sir Julius Chain, member for New Ireland Province, for his medical review for the duration of this meeting.
The motion is that the question is that the motion be agreed to. Those in favor say aye. Those against say no. Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, I ask Labour Parliament to move another motion without notice, please.
The question is that the motion be agreed to. Those in favor say aye. Those against say no. Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, I move that so much of the standing orders be suspended as would prevent me from making appointments to Permanent Parliamentary Committee on Education and Communications.
The question is that the motion be agreed to. Those in favor say aye. Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, I move that in accordance with Standing Orders 25, Mr. Benjamin Moole will be appointed Chairman, Mr. Simon Kawi, Deputy Chairman, Mr. Johnson Wapunai, Mr. Patrick Basa, Mr. Peter Isiamo, Mr. Michael Maru, Mr. Anderson Mise be appointed members of the Permanent Parliamentary Committee on Education.
Question is that the motion be agreed to. Those in favor say aye. Those against say no. Ayes have it. Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, I move that in accordance with Standing Order 25, Mr. Mas Narawek, Mr. Sam Basil Jr., Mr. Sachin Mutubal, Mr. Alexander Ome, Mr. Ricky Morris, Mr. Eriman Tobaning, and Mr. Simon Dumarinu be appointed members of the Permanent Parliamentary Committee on Communications. The functions of the committee shall be, firstly, to consider and report to Parliament on all matters referred to it as provided for by the standing orders, the Parliament, the Minister, and on its own initiative. Secondly, consider any matters of national importance within its jurisdiction and functions and report thereon to Parliament in accordance with the Permanent Parliamentary Committees Act. And thirdly, report on the functions of the Ministry as determined by a resolution of the Parliament from time to time. Fourth, the committee has the power to send for persons, papers, and records to meet from place to place and to act during recess. Thirdly, the quorum for a meeting of the committee is 4 committee members, one whom shall be either the chairman or the deputy chairman. Mr. Speaker, and before Mr. Speaker, with respect, ask you to ask for a motion to be agreed upon. I beg your apology. It was remiss of me not to mention the function of the earlier committee. Education committee we voted in favor of. The function of the committees shall be consider and report to Parliament on matters referred to by our standing orders, by the Parliament, by the Minister, or again on its own initiative. Consider any matters of importance within its jurisdiction and functions and report therein to our Parliament in accordance with the Permanent Parliamentary Committees Act. And thirdly, report on the functions of the Ministry, especially the 2 education ministries, as determined by a resolution of the Parliament from time to time. Fourth, the committee has the power to send for persons, papers, and records, and to meet from place to place to act during recess of Parliament. Last, the quorum of the meeting of the committee is 4 committee members, one of whom shall be either the chairman or the deputy chairman. Mr. Speaker, this is the 2 committees we are setting up, and I commend, Mr. Speaker, the Deputy Speaker, the commentary made by Sepuka Temu on the grievance debate. I think it's a very timely submission. Our Parliament should take consider of this one as part of our reforms that we are working leading up to 50 years of independence. But in this instance, 2 more parliamentary committees we are setting up. For them to be functional, we will give resource to the Parliament and to ensure that the committees hold the executive governments accountable. Mr. Speaker, with this I move, I ask Parliament to support these appointments.
The question is that the motion be agreed to. Those in favor say aye. Aye. Those against say no. Ayes have it. Prime Minister.
With this, I move that Parliament at its rising adjourn to Tuesday, 2 p.m. on the 22nd of November 2022.
The question is that the motion be agreed to. Those in favor say aye. Aye. Those against say no. Ayes have it. Honourable members. The Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, I move that Parliament now adjourn on the proposed date, please.
Honourable members, the question is that the motion be agreed to. Those in favour say aye. Aye. Those against say no. The Parliament now is at rise to date 22 November at 2 p.m. o'clock.